Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful concept from a field guide to family court. It's something that finally gives a name to a struggle that so many people feel but just can't quite put their finger on.
You know this feeling, right? It's that sense that you're just getting worn down. It's not one big, dramatic moment in the courtroom. It's the constant stream of tiny, maddening little jabs that leave you exhausted and wondering if you're going crazy. Well, let me tell you, you're not.
And here it is. This is the aha moment. The concept is called death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's the idea that the real harm comes from the accumulation of all these supposedly small things, the delays, the denials, the little twists of the truth. Together, they're designed to bleed you dry, ruin your credibility, and damage your relationship with your child. And you know what? Just giving it a name is the very first step toward fighting back.
Okay, so how does this actually work? It's not just random bad luck. These paper cuts aren't happening by accident. They follow a very predictable pattern, one that's incredibly damaging. But once you see it, you can start to call it out.
Every single one of these paper cuts has four things in common. First, they're low visibility. Each one is so small you can be made to feel like you're overreacting. Second, they have plausible deniability. It's always an honest mistake or just following procedure. Third, and this is crucial, the burden is asymmetrical. It costs the other person 5 seconds to do, but it costs you 5 hours and $500 to fix. And finally, they compound. Each cut makes the next one easier and more effective.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What do these cuts actually look like? They generally fall into 3 main categories, and knowing them is key to spotting them in real time.
First up, you've got the cuts that use the court's own rules against you. This is all about weaponizing the system itself, turning time, deadlines, and all that paperwork into obstacles designed to trip you up.
And here are some classic examples you might recognize. You need a decision on summer camp, but the hearing is scheduled for September. Your paperwork gets kicked back for a typo right before the deadline. You accidentally don't get the email about a meeting with the evaluator. See? Each one on its own seems small, maybe even excusable, but together they create this constant headwind that slows you down and costs you momentum.
Okay, the second type. This one gets a lot more personal. These are the cuts aimed directly at your relationship with your child and your ability to co-parent.
And just look at how subtle these can be. It's never a flat no, it's always being 30 minutes late for pickup. It's a phone call that mysteriously drops after 2 minutes. It's using fuzzy words in the court order, like reasonable, to start a fight over every little thing. It's all about chipping away bit by bit at the stability and consistency your child needs from you.
And that brings us to the third and final type, the cuts that use the system itself, the rules, the money, the biases, to just completely wear you out. Yeah, this is where it can feel like the whole game is rigged. It's like you have to follow every rule to the letter, but the other side gets a pass. It's getting nickel and dimed with fees for every motion, every copy. It's when you raise a legitimate concern and the evaluator's report calls you angry or uncooperative. The court's orders are treated like law for you, but just suggestions for them. The whole point is to make you so exhausted that you just quit.
Okay, and this next part is maybe the most important thing to understand. A single paper cut, it's just an annoyance. But 1,000 of them, when they're allowed to add up over time, that's where the real devastating damage happens.
So look at how this chain reaction works. It starts with something small, like a few hours of misparenting time here and there. The effect? Your bond with your child gets just a little bit weaker. The result of that? A new status quo is created, where your child is just with you less. And the final outcome? A judge sees this new status quo and makes it permanent. All of that starting from a minor issue that was repeated over and over.
And when this goes on long enough, the end result isn't just one bad thing. It's a total collapse on every front. Your relationship with your child is frayed, you're broke, your credibility with the court is shot because you're the one who always seems to be complaining, and eventually, you might just stop trying. You develop learned helplessness. And that, right there, is the ultimate goal of this entire strategy.
But listen, it does not have to end that way. Now that we've dragged this pattern out into the light and given it a name, let's talk about the solution. And it's not about fighting fire with fire. It's about fighting with clarity.
Your most powerful tool is something called the pattern packet. Now, this isn't about overwhelming the court with a mountain of paper. It's the exact opposite. It's surgical. It's just 4 things. A simple 1-page timeline that shows the pattern, a single page of math that adds up all the small losses into one big number, your 6 absolute best pieces of evidence, no more, and a very clear, very specific request for how to fix it. Its power is in its focus. This is so important. You have to learn to speak the court's language, and that language is facts, not feelings. Look at the difference here. She's trying to alienate me. That's a story. A judge can't do anything with that. But on this date, my call was not answered. This has happened 12 times in the last 6 weeks. That's data. That's a fact. And courts can act on facts. You have to translate your emotional reality into their logical language.
And this is what happens when you do the math. 38 hours. Just think about that. Suddenly, all those minor issues, being 30 minutes late, I canceled dinner, they stop being minor. They add up to a concrete, significant number that makes the invisible harm visible. A number like 38 is impossible for a judge to just brush aside.
The other big move here is to get rid of the vague language where all these problems hide. You do this by asking for what are called bright line orders. You're basically closing all the loopholes. No more reasonable access for phone calls. You ask for Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 to 7:15 p.m. You make the rules so crystal clear that any violation is obvious to everyone.
Okay, let's bring this all home. How do you actually take all of this and use it in the courtroom? How do you turn the system's own procedures from a weapon that's been used against you into your greatest tool?
It comes down to this simple 3-step formula. Every single time you talk to the judge, this is your script. Step 1, state the rule. Your Honor, the court order says X. Step 2, show the pattern. That rule has been violated 12 times since March 1st. Step 3, ask for the remedy. Therefore, I'm asking for this one specific, narrow fix. That's it. It's calm, it's factual, and it's all about solutions, not drama.
And really, it all boils down to this one powerful idea. Courts don't fix stories, they fix structures. The judge isn't your therapist. They're not there to make you feel heard or validated. They're there to create and enforce clear, workable systems. The second you stop trying to get them to believe your story and instead start asking them to fix a broken structure, everything changes.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. By understanding this pattern and by using a counter strategy based on clarity and data, you can completely flip the script. What if all those frustrating rules and procedures, what if they weren't a weapon being used against you, but could actually become your greatest strength?